Alright guys, so Danny and I switched spots and we just did the talk about intern interviews, and now we're gonna follow up on that and talk a bit more about full-time interviews. So to give you some context, I just graduated in April and Danny still has a couple months of school left before graduating in December. So we're pretty much like at the end of our university careers, and I just went through a hellish couple months of full-time jobs or full-time interviews, before landing a full-time job at Google. So I can give you guys some insight into kind of what I went through, and Danny can talk a bit more about
my full-time interviews.
His full-time interviews that he's been doing. So to get started, during my 4B term, my first mistake was applying too late. So my 4B term started in January, but a lot of American companies, they start hiring in September the year before.
Yeah.
So I should have started applying when I was on my last co-op, basically. But I didn't, because I was just trying to enjoy life a bit more.
Well, you want to actually, for people who don't know, what day, like what month was your last your co-op term, so they know the time difference, like the exact date that they should start applying for New Year.
Yeah. So my last co-op was in the fall term of 2017. So it was from September to December, and then when I came back to school in January, that's when I started applying. But when I was applying, a lot of companies, especially American Silicon Valley companies, told me that they already had all their positions, full-time new grad positions, filled for 2018 ever since like the year before. So they started taking applications around September of 2017. So just be careful, like when you guys are looking for full-time jobs in San Francisco or in America, start applying early, because that's when American schools start applying too. I also made the mistake of applying to too many jobs. I applied to like 60 companies, and I actually didn't expect to get like most of them or a lot of them coming back to me with interviews. So my schedule was like double booked, triple booked with school and other like social events and sports and stuff like that. So I was just like running from here to there, doing interview after interview, and then going to class and coming back, and then doing another interview and then going to the lab. So that made my life pretty much hell in my 4B term, especially with my FYDP like looming over my head.
FYDP is like your final term project.
Yeah, your FYDP is like your fourth year design project, which engineers have to do in the fourth year. So those are two of my biggest mistakes: applying too late and applying to too many. But to tell you a bit more of the process, a lot of Silicon Valley companies will do like 1 or 2 rounds with you over the phone or Google Hangouts, or like a kind of a Skype interview, like a webcam interview. Usually the first one's like a call with the recruiter. This is like your HR interview, which we covered in our last video. Just asking you simple questions about your work habits and your behavior and your personality and your characteristics, trying to find your values.
Tell me about yourself questions.
Yeah. Tell me about yourself, tell me about a project you worked on in the past. And if they're still interested in you, which a lot of the time it's hard to get disqualified at this stage, you'll do 2 technical interviews with engineers on their team. Depending on the company and people's timelines, you might interview with very junior level people, or you might interview with very senior level people. But at the end of the day, they'll all ask similar type questions to intern interviews, maybe a bit harder, but usually the same genre. So your data structures and algorithms. So if you want to do practice for that, you guys should do cracking the coding interview or HackerRank or LeetCode. Those are resources that I used. So if you pass those 2 webcam interviews, usually what will happen is the recruiter will reach out to you and they will ask you if you want to fly in for a full-time interview on-site. So the on-site interview, the golden standard in Silicon Valley is like the company will fly you out, pay for 2 nights hotel, round-trip flight, and they'll reimburse like a certain amount of money for food and transportation costs. So, for example, when I interviewed with Dropbox, they flew me out for 3 days, 2 nights, and I had $250 to spend on Ubers and food. With Credit Karma, it was 2 days and it was $100 a day, and all the round trip flights were covered. So make sure you guys get like your Aeroplan miles card all set up. So they fly you out on site, usually like the night before, and in the morning they'll ask you to go in around like 10 a.m. You know, say you're here to see the recruiter's name, and then they'll bring you to like a room, and that's your room for the day. And all my on-site interviews have been like 5 or 6 hours each. So usually what they'll do is they'll do like 2 1-hour interviews, lunch, and then 2 1-hour interviews, and then you'll meet with the manager and the team as like a final cultural interview. So with the 1-hour interviews, the 2 before lunch and the 2 after lunch, it's usually meeting with like an engineer, and they'll ask you like questions from computer science questions like solve this problem using a data structure. I mean, it's like very similar to the webcam interviews from before, but this time they're asking you to code on the board, and they, because of like the intimacy of being in the room with them, they'll get like a much better feel for your work style, your habits, your thought process, your style of thinking, and this will give them more like insight into whether or not they want to work with you, right? Because at the end of the day, the question that they're trying to find the answer to is, do I want to work with this person for the next year, or like for the rest of my life maybe. So yeah, with 2 hours before, 2 hours after, and then they'll end with the manager meeting you, and then he will tell you like, by this time like the 4 other people who interviewed you will have spoken to the manager, and the manager will have a pretty good idea of your technical skills. So they won't ask you anything technical. They'll just talk to you about the direction of the company and what you might be working on, projects that are rising up, stuff that like might interest you if you like, they're trying to like sell you to the company, right? And it's also kind of like a cultural question, like just to get to know the manager, right? To build a relationship with them. And then after that, you say goodbye. Sometimes the company will invite you to happy hour, but usually you go back to the hotel that night, and then you fly out the next morning back to where you came from. For Google, my Google interview is actually really odd. It was different in the sense that I didn't do an on-site interview. I just did 6 rounds of Google Hangouts interviews. So they didn't actually fly me out on site, which I found was very odd, because they usually do that.
Did you ask about that?
No, I didn't ask about it. I was like, oh, I don't have to, because at that point I was tired of flying out. I flew to California like 4 times, in those 2 months already. I actually didn't want to fly out anymore. But yeah, I just did 6 rounds, so I guess in total, like 6 rounds, like 6 or 7 rounds, like the golden number for full-time interviews. That might sound intimidating at first, but like it gets really repetitive, and it's like sometimes I know this is really bad, but like sometimes you're like so zoned into like doing the question, you like
3/4 of a mile. You're like, still on the fastest route.
You like forget about like what company you're actually interviewing for. Like you're just like trying to solve the problem, like it's another problem on the test, right? So yeah, usually after you fly out, send like a thank you email to the recruiter and whoever, like everybody that you interviewed with. It kind of like formality, be very courteous and kind. And usually within 2 weeks, the recruiter will reach out to you with an answer. Usually they'll email you if they reject you, and they'll call you if they want to say congratulations. So if you receive an email, like if you receive something from the recruiter saying let's schedule a call, that's usually good news. But if it says sorry, we have reviewed your application,
straight up rejection.
Yeah, usually they'll word it like this: we talked a lot about it as a team, and we feel that you're not the best fit for us right now, but please reach out to us in the future in case there are opportunities that arise. That's the rejection letter. And if you get that, then yeah, just move on, right? Because there's literally a billion companies out there. And yeah, that was it for my full-time interview experience?
So from my full-time interviews, it's a little different, just because Kevin's experience is in SE, my experience is in PM, and specifically product manager. And the amount of interviews I usually get for full-time, I only did I would say around 10 to 15 full-time ones, is simply on the fact that the golden rule, I guess, for PM interviews, especially for product manager interviews, is around, you get 4 to 5 actually, plus 4 to 5, and I would say majority of the interviews, a number times, is probably you have 4 phases. Usually one including one recruiter call, so 3 would just be purely PM calls, and sometimes for product managers, because they work so closely with development managers and project managers, that you usually have one of those jump in as well. And sometimes, but not often, you get a software engineer in there as well, just to kind of see if they would want to work with you. And I would say the process always differs. I don't think there's a really good way I could say this happens and this will happen, this will happen. But more so be prepared for topic related questions. If it was Credit Karma and it's finance, and credit scores, and you should probably learn about the topic, because in a way you as a product manager should be very insightful in that topic. And if it's about gaming, let's say for EA, for NBA Live Mobile, I had to kind of learn about how the gamification of EA games and how the competitors are doing, so I could actually speak about it, right, or at least build for it, or our user base is, what's a user segmentation. So you have to understand that a lot, in a way, so you can have a conversation. A lot of it is behavioral, similar to internship interviews. A lot of it is situational. They give you a lot of situational, if someone, if you want to go to A but A doesn't work out because of B, then what would you do in a C situation? So it's it's a little kind of hey, because a lot of PM's jobs in a lot of companies, not all the same, not all of it will be the same, is simply to put out fires. Okay, never mind. Okay, we're so good. Is simply to put out fires. So the good thing is that it's more, every day you wake up and it's a new thing, new fire to put out, especially if your team's younger or more front lines. Then it's you'll have a lot more stuff to fight and a lot more and you will have a lot of fires to kind of take out. So they want to also understand that you can handle those situations. So speak confidently, ask questions when you need to. I would say don't BS. At the same time, give it a shot at the questions that you don't know, but also acknowledge that you're willing to learn. A tip that I gave for the internship interview, I think is still very viable for full-time, is that they want to know that you're curious and you're willing to learn. A lot of the PM job is still there's not a large set of tools that you need to know before entering a PM job, because PM jobs differ within companies. So they really want you to, they just really need to know that you have a strong self-awareness and just a strong mindset of how to solve problems, and then being able to mold you in a sense into the company, in the process, and enabling you to be able to contribute to the team. But yeah, so I think there's cracking the PM interview.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you guys should check that out. So a lot of situational questions, a lot of kind of sometimes mind what do you call those, mind games, mind questions, which are pretty cool. Other than that, it's pretty interesting.
Funny thing is, I actually did a PM interview for a full-time job when I was applying to the 60 companies. And one thing that they really look for is empathy with the end user. So make sure, try your best as a PM, try your best to put yourself in the shoes of the end user, the person who's going to be actually using your product in the future. All of like the possible use cases that they could do, all of the things, the unexpected things that they might use your product for. Try to like really use your imagination and creativity in this part, and I think to be able to do this like well, you have to really broaden your perspectives, travel and meet new people, talk with people, listen to people, read books, try and get as many perspectives as you can in this, and that will really help you. That will really help you be empathetic towards other people.
Yeah, I think like empathy is huge. Yeah, like when people, like, the universal trait of PMs is empathy. Simply because PMs are kind of in charge of the user experience. Let's say in apps, PMs are usually in charge of a lot of what in the fine details of what the company's pursuing. They're kind of the ones enforcing it. So being empathetic to the users and what they want and what you think they need is really key, and what they're hurting. And also your team too, right? Like, and some PMs, they work a lot with engineers and designers, and even business developers, data analysts. So you also want to be empathetic towards them too. So in order to kind of encompass them and be kind of a team lead to get something working and get something started. So that's huge. Empathy, yeah, that's a good one to bring up. So if you're not empathetic, if you're not a people's person, I think it's super hard to be a PM. It seems like it's like fun and stuff, but your PM is also like a kind of a people's manager as well. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much it on my end for full-time PM interviews.
Yeah, if you guys like get nervous with the interview, like I know like I was super nervous for my Google interview because it's a company I wanted to work at for a really long time, and even though I did like so much more practice with, you know, in the day, having a lot of experience really helped. But also in my mind, like I was always asking myself, how bad you want it, and of course I wanted it really bad. So that helped me push through the nervosity and do my best on the interviews. And with the Google interviews, there were like 6 rounds, and I think I screwed up some of them. Like the interviewer could clearly tell that I was nervous, but they still passed me on to the next round because I had the fundamentals, the basics down, right? I knew what I was talking about. I just couldn't elaborate it in like a very articulate and or intelligent manner, but like at the rudimentary level, I had the basics down, and also my values were in line with Google's. So that, I think that's why I got passed on to the next round in those cases. But yeah, experience never hurts. That's what I want to say.
I think if you're watching this video before you're in this job search for a full-time job search, watch our internship videos and get internships. Because I think now, because we've done like, I would say what a normal person would interview in their lifetime, that like now when I go into interviews, I still get nervous, don't get me wrong, but it's like a lot more fluid.
Yeah, I get nervous too. I get like the butterflies in my stomach, but I'm used to it now.
Yeah, so you learn how to like control it.
Yeah.
So do interviews. If you're not looking for full-time yet, do internships. Go through interview process there, because usually it's pretty simple.